Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Process Your Image. We're on episode 5, and I want to thank all of you for your feedback and your engagement during this series so far. It really is much appreciated, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So, for this week's episode, German sent through an image that he'd captured in the Mara, and German wasn't too sure how to process this particular image. So in his mail, he said to me that he processed this particular image in black and white, but he also wasn't sure if color was going to work as well. So in this episode, we're going to do both. We're going to do a color version as well as a black and white version. So without wasting too much more time, let's get straight into it. Okay, so here's Jeremy's image that he sent through. Of a cheetahs and wildebeest interaction. Now, from his mail that he sent to me, he said that he cropped out the wildebeest on the right-hand side and centered this wildebeest on the left. So a little bit of a closer crop going in there. So as I mentioned to you guys, we're going to do two versions. A color version as well as a black and white version. And the easy way to do that is if you right click on your image and you will see it says create a virtual copy. So this basically gives you then two exactly the same, it's the same file, you're not losing any information, but you can then process these in two different ways. So let's start off with our color version. Now, as always, firstly, the first thing I want to do is go for a crop. And in this particular case, I'm going to leave this wildebeest in here for now on the color version. And then on the black and white version, I'll take him out and go for German's crop. All right, so we're going to go in here. Let's have a look at a 16 by 9. Something like that. Let's see to start off how that looks. Okay, and as always, I'm going to get my white and my black tones correctly exposed. So let's start off with the whites. Something like that. You see, often I don't always sort of go until I see the colors because then it can look a bit green. So just keep an eye on your histogram at the top right as well. So something like that. And then also with the blacks once again. Okay, to about there. Okay, and I just want to show you guys that's already a massive difference just from doing two things. So remember, we always say with your color edits, sometimes less is more. You don't always have to use all the slides that is available to you. Alright, so let's just try and lift some of these shadows up a little bit. Okay, maybe just dehaze slightly just to give it a bit of a punch. And then the tone curve, I'm just going to lift the white slightly. I'm not going to do anything with the blacks. Okay. And then we're going to go into our detail. We're going to just sharpen up a little bit. Remember, till all the black parts, those are the areas that are not going to be sharpened, and only the white bits will be sharpened. So we're going to go, I'd say around about there is good. Alright, let's sharpen that up there. Alright, again, quick before and after. For me personally, that's how I would leave it. You won't have to do much more to that. And it's just a couple of small adjustments. Already you can see a massive difference to the frame. Alright, and now we're going to go into our black and white edit of this particular image. And like I mentioned, we're going to go for the same crop more or less that German has done. So we're going to go in, we're going to take the one on the right out, and just center. Remember, I don't want, this could be a distracting element in the frame, so I'm not going to include that. We'll bring that down and maybe just bring some of this down again. Okay, so Jeremy couldn't send me his JPEG file, so I'm going sort of more or less on what he's sent in his email to me. Okay, so something like that. Let's start off with that and work with that for now. So as I mentioned, we're going to go hit this into, start off as a black and white, and with your black and white, it gives you a little bit more creative freedom. Remember, when we photograph in color, we try and keep the scene as natural as possible and to try and replicate the scene that was in front of us. Whereas with black and white, it gives you a little bit more creative flexibility. Okay, so we're going to start off in the basic panel. Again, same as when processing a color image. We can just start off with our whites over here. Something like that. And then just bring our darks down slightly as well. Something to that effect. Okay. And I'm going to just dehaze this a little bit. And I'm going to skip the tone curve panel for now. I'm going to immediately go into my black and white. Now remember, this allows you to process certain colors that are still there, even though it is a black and white image. And what I'm going to try and achieve is to darken this background out a little bit more so that you have a bright subject against your dark background, which makes it stand out a little bit more. Remember, if you want to see what colors will be affected, if you click on that little icon and you move it around, have a look what happens over here. So you can see now that aqua colors are going to be affected, greens, and if I go to the cheetah, it's more the oranges and the yellows. Okay, so let's just have a look here. This is, okay, so that's the aqua and the greens. So we want to try and bring that down a bit. And same thing with the aquas. Okay, but we also want to lift these oranges a bit here. Oranges and the yellows. Okay, something like that. So I'm just going to leave it as is for now. The next thing I want to do is with my adjustment brush over here, I'm going to brush around the background and try and darken that out a bit more. So let's go for maybe, let's see how that looks. I'm just gonna brush all over here. Remember, the idea behind this is to try and, like I mentioned, put the bright subject against a dark background. Our eyes are just drawn to that a lot more. Same thing if you have a dark subject against a bright background. That contrast, our eyes are really drawn to that. Okay, so it's going to go all the way around here. Remember, we don't want to brush on our wildebeest or our cheetahs. Just want to do this background here. Let's have a look and see how that looks. Okay, so you can already see now, just with that background being a little bit darker, how our eyes are now drawn a lot more to the wildebeest and the cheetah. Okay, so when you're doing these kind of things, you need to try and sort of think what you want your viewers to see. All right, we're just going to go to sharpening quickly as well, just before we make further local adjustments. Okay, so let's sharpen that up there. And then what I want to try and do is also just brighten my wildebeest up a little bit. I'm going to just go with a new brush. And on my wildebeest over here, just going to lift the exposure again, just slightly. Right. Something like that. And then with my cheetah's face, if I go in, let's just view this at about 3:1. Also just want to just try and lighten this up a bit as well. Just in that face area, you see this part here is quite light. Just want to lighten this around the face a little bit. Lift the shadows. And also just add a bit of clarity there as well. Okay, that is starting to look good. I'm just going to make one more adjustment just from a cropping point of view. Just want to bring some of those bright skies out, something like that. Okay. And then also something that you guys can do if you want to just smoothen your image out a little bit is with this color under noise reduction, you can push that up to 100 and it just sort of smooths the image out a little bit more. I just want to add, again, just to attract my viewers' eyes a little bit more in the center. Just darken the sides a little bit and the midtones, not too much. Again, it's very small adjustments. If you have a look, that's without the vignette and that's with the vignette, because we just want the viewer's eyes to be drawn forward a little bit more. Okay, let's have a look. So there's the black and white version, and then there's the color version. Now, as I mentioned to you guys in the sort of first few episodes, this is by no means the only way to process this particular image. There are many different ways, and personally, I don't enjoy sort of restricting people to what they want to do creatively. It's easier for us when we're in the field, and it's something that we focus a lot on our photographic safaris on, is composing for the scene that's in front of you, just to make your processing so much easier. But there's no right or wrong. Whether some people might enjoy this color version, some of you might enjoy the black and white version. Whichever one you prefer, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. And then please go and follow Jeremy Dunn at the bottom over here. He's new on Instagram, and I would appreciate it if you guys go give him a follow and go look at some of his work. Jeremy, thank you so much for sending that image. As always, guys, if you would like one of your images featured in the Let's Process Your Image series, then hit me up at the bottom here. My email is there, and I would love to include one of your images in future episodes. Until next time, guys, have a great week, and I'll catch up with you guys again next week. Until then, have a good one.